let's talk about what's inside the scripted lesson plans. So one of the things that needs to be pointed out is that on a cursory glance, it seems like a good thing. So not everything that it says are bad. There's some things that seem really good. And if you look at the first few pages, most parents will think, this is wonderful, this is great, we're so relieved that someone's going to teach our children this. And that is what the danger is, because as subtle yet powerful main themes run throughout the different years, and it can be comparable to a toxic vapor. And so it's really important that we as parents and as community leaders and religious leaders, that we do our homework and we go through the material and we pick up on these themes. And I'm just going to highlight a few of them to you now. Firstly, and most noticeably, is the normalization of sexual experimentation at a young age. Now, although it may not say you must engage sexually at a young age, no, and yet it does not take a firm view of marriage and of abstinence until marriage. And in fact, most of the scenarios and the unscripted role plays that the learners are need to be involved in enacting, and the discussions, most of these are about sexual engagement outside of the context of marriage. So, for example, one 14-year-old propositioning to another 14-year-old, and they need to kind of negotiate, and the idea is that you're trying to seek an outcome where a condom will be used, or where there will be abstinence in that engagement, but making sure that the propositioner is not made to feel bad, because it's a very strong theme that no one must feel guilty here, and that we must always, if possible, seek for a win-win situation. And these role plays and these scenarios and descriptions involving teenagers, engaging with other teenagers and so on, runs throughout, over and over and over, and to the point where it would be quite reasonable for any young person exposed to that to think that if they're planning on abstaining until marriage, they are certainly not normal. And so that has an effect of teaching our children that as adults we can see no better way for them than to just continue experimenting at a young age. Then it's potential to sexualize. So through these unscripted role plays, and through the having to color in of naked female and a naked male, and having to discuss what they consider to be private parts and not, we're turning their minds again and again and again towards sexual issues. And is that maybe something that we should not be doing when you have a class full of people that are different ages, different levels of maturity? Transgender notions. This is another main theme where the concept of male and female is being blurred. So, for example, in grade 4, there's a description where Andrea likes to play with boys. She sometimes feels like a boy. This is in grade 4. What is a young child like that meant to make with that? When they come home, maybe there is a girl who likes playing with boys. Now she comes home, she's confused. Is she maybe a boy? In grade 8, instead of giving just definitions of what a homosexual and a heterosexual and a bisexual are, it makes a value statement. You can be homosexual or bisexual or heterosexual. So these are seen as valid and asserted as valid and healthy choices. The representation of health risks. So we need to bear in mind that this program is being rolled out in Africa. Now, in Southern Africa and South Africa, AIDS is an epidemic. And there are a huge proportion of young people who are infected. And into this, there is the mention that, okay, abstinence is the safest way of avoiding disease, but if you can't, then use a condom, because that is still a safer form of sex. There is not, to our knowledge, any real information given as to the seriousness of contracting a disease from which one can die. Now, we need to bear in mind that other than the safety of the condom itself, these are young people, and one has to take human error into account. In their programs, they even suggest the following as healthy life choices. Okay, abstinence being one of them. Another one being, I will be faithful to one partner at a time. I will give 3 months abstinence between partners. And these are being put forward as selections, options of healthy life choices for our young people, for our children. If they take this advice and they engage with multiple partners over a period of years, even if they're using condoms, do they know what the risks are of eventually contracting a disease which could end in death? Are we not gambling with their lives by giving them only half the information? Are we not insulting our children and our young people by not choosing the very best for them and teaching them the very best? The Department of Education themselves said to Parliament, abstinence-based programs do not work. And they pay lip service to abstinence. And they pay lip service to commitment to teaching every reason why one would want to keep purity and maintain the sanctity of marriage.